All right. Good evening, traders. Let's do an audio and visual check. How's everybody tonight? How was everybody's Monday? Started the trading week. Good evening, John. Yankees will be swept. Baseball, man, that's been at the spotlight for a lot of people. Sounds good. Sounds good. Looks good. Ready to jump. All right, well, let's get started. Good evening, everybody. I'm Coach Dakota, Coach DBA. As always, in the YouTube chat, there's the Topstep risk disclosure. This is for educational purposes only. We know that. Click on it, read it, learn it, and understand it. But let's go through the markets. It was an interesting day today. We finally got the gap filled as I was setting up for class. And if you guys know what I mean, talking about the NASDAQ. So let's go through our regular rapid fire NASDAQ, crude oil, the Nikkei, and then finish it off with gold and see if we can have some trades. I do trade. I have my live account. I do place trades in the live markets. If there's a good setup, we'll talk about it. But yeah, there's our risk disclosure. And yeah, here's the daily chart on the NASDAQ. And you can see there's not really much happening. Lots of ugly price action consolidating in this range. At the high end, 20,600s, low end 20,200. We did get as far down as 20,090s, 80s, but we've been hovering right around this zone. This is a pretty big zone, and every time we get to the top of it, we get hammered and sold right back off. And do we come to the lower end? Are we going to see 20,300? I don't know. We do have a lot of big news events coming out this week. I mean, take it tomorrow. We have Jolt's job openings, consumer confidence. We have chairman speaking. I mean, there's a lot. Australian CPI, and then we could continue to go through that list. But it's going to be a very busy week. We have earnings coming out, right? A lot of earnings that are going to be coming out as well. And so it's going to be, I believe, a volatile week. It looked like that's how it was going to be last night, and today was kind of lackluster when it came to volatility. But yeah, that's all I'm seeing on the daily chart. Just still stuck in this kind of consolidation range. And as we start to zoom into an hourly chart, you can see it's a little bit more clear, This is that consolidation range up at the highs, sell the highs, buy the lows. Is this a rotation back to the lows? I'm not sure. This is a key area of support and resistance. And, Sunday we did have that gap. It looks like tonight we just filled it as we were talking, or before I got on stream. Look at this. This is interesting. This is an hourly chart, and we came down, we filled that gap to 470, what is this, 475, 476, and we rallied all the way up. That's 40-point rally, right? We filled the gap, and yeah, 476 up to, yeah, that's a pretty decent rally, and this has been just 1 hour and 1 hour of movement during slow markets. So pretty nice to see this kind of movement. The question is this a low, and is this a higher low? So that is going to be the question tonight for me, is if this is going to be a higher low, are we going to have some type of continuation back up to, say, the mid 500s, or if we get a push back up to, let's say, somewhere near support and resistance, say, 600 even. That's what I'm looking at, and that's what I am planning, and the way I'm going into tonight. And so there's definitely a trade that I am watching, and that's going to, of course, be long, seeing if we can get a rally. I did try and get long this afternoon. I bought, I think it was like 515, somewhere right here, looking for a rally into power hour. I ended up making only $800 on it because it just, obviously you could see what happened. It turned around, and then here we are again. We've been consolidating for a little bit, and so I'll be curious to see if the NASDAQ starts to rally. On the flip side, I mean, it's going to be watch out if we do start to break this support from Friday. If we do start to sell off, I can definitely see a possibility of the NASDAQ, taking a run at these lows. You can see there's a lot of support here throughout last week. And then Yeah, very similar to what we've seen in the daily, right? Maybe we run down to 20,300. So there's a few levels that we could watch to the downside. Oh, that's not it. And I mean, it's just, there's an argument to be made. We're in the middle, but the market's still trending up. I mean, it's bullish. I'm all for buy the dips. You guys know me. And we'll see how this plays out. And yeah, go from there. Let's take a look at crude. What did crude oil do? Last night was pretty crazy. We had that major gap down, and we have not filled it. And so, you know, that fun saying is all gaps get filled. I mean, so far, the gap in crude oil has not even been attempted to get filled. I mean, we didn't even try to touch 29 or 69 and get over 69. Can we see that? Probably sometime this week. Sure. But this thing can continue to sell off. We could see crude, you know, test 66 again, maybe come and test, there's that low. And then maybe we could even come see crude test 64 before it even fills this gap. And yeah, I think the same thing with the NASDAQ. NASDAQ just filled its gap. I'm going to be curious to watch to see, will crude oil fill this gap? Is there going to be opportunities to get in long? Maybe. I'm not going to be playing in crude right now. I'm going to wait to see more market structure. I'm going to wait to see if we can start to find, you know, maybe a higher high, higher low, something that will indicate that crude is going to attempt to break through above 69, or something that will indicate a continuation down to maybe these 64s. Okay, let's move on. We're going to move on. This is interesting. This is the market I want to talk about. This is Nikkei. This is the Japanese market. If you guys don't know what Nikkei is, it's a Japanese market, and this is something that got me pretty excited. This is a daily chart. This is a daily chart on the Nikkei. Take a look at this. Take a look at this. So I'm curious how this will play out, where we had that major low at the beginning of August. We had that pivot in the middle of September, and we had a sell-off. This is pretty dang bullish to me. Now, given we had something similar here, and you've seen what happened to that. This can be what they call it, an anomaly, where it doesn't happen all of the time. And I like this. I really do like this, especially where it came from an area of support. And this can be a decent signal or a decent start of a possibility that we have maybe a rotation back up to 39,200, maybe even 40,000. So that is going to be another thing I'm watching to the long side, just based off the daily chart, right? And as we start to zoom in, we're going to zoom in on the hourly, and I'm going to focus on what's going on there. And we're starting to see it a little bit tonight, where we had that, massive 2% sell-off, followed by even bigger, 4% rally, as we've seen that. Take a look at that. The sell-off was 2.25. The rally was 4%. And, maybe we are having some type of a flagging pattern here in the Nikkei. And we just made, it looks like, another higher low. And so if we do break out, then yeah, of course, I'm going to see if we can come see and test some of these highs. The first high I'm going to be watching is going to be right around here. We do have a lot of support and resistance. This is a pretty dang big zone, but yeah, going to be looking for some of those levels, but Nikkei is looking pretty strong. We'll see how it reacts tonight. This could be a situation where it might move really quick and we might miss it. I'm a little less for just a breakout play, like using a buy stop, meaning I'm going to put a buy stop above this flagging pattern, and if the market continues up higher, it will trigger me into a long, and then I get in long. I would much rather just wait, be patient, and see if I can find an opportunity if it continues to consolidate. Obviously, this was a nice opportunity. I was talking about this last night. We did get that sell-off, and look at this sell-off. It was right at a nice level of support, and sure enough, this was resistance. Resistance became support. And that could have been a beautiful 3-bar reversal. You hear me talk about 3-bar reversals. I mean, there's one, and it played out pretty nice. Unfortunately, I was sleeping when this happened, and I was not watching it. And of course, I was paying attention to the NASDAQ. Anyway, let's move on. We're going to finish off with gold here. Then I'll get to a few more questions. Gold, I mean, what can I say? It's just bullish. I mean, it's been bullish. Every time I look at it and talk about it, there's nothing else to it. Higher lows, equal highs, looking to break out, see if we can make a run at new all-time highs. I mean, at this point, why not, right? Why not? Why would gold not break out? I mean, I don't want to short gold, that's for sure. It's so hard to short gold, especially for me and in this type of a market. I mean, that's all I have on gold. Even looking into a smaller time frame like this 5-minute chart, and we're doing some very basic technical analysis. I mean, look at this. Look at this. This is a beautiful bull flag pattern where we had this nice rally up. We broke out, and yeah, do we come see 2760 tonight? We do see a spike in volatility right at 8 p.m. And so that is a possibility, is seeing 2760. Or do we pull back? If we pull back, then is there going to be a buying opportunity? I'm not sure. Anyway, that being said, let's take a look. I'm going to be watching these markets. You guys let me know if something pops up. And those are the trades that I am seeing going into tonight. Maybe we could talk about a slow markets trade. And slow markets trade, I'll just set up a trade, here live in front of everybody, just like a teacher does a math problem. And we do it as a simulated, a test practice. And yeah, you guys get to see the power of overnight trades, right? The power of the fact that the futures market is open 23 hours and there's a lot of volatility and there's a lot of movement that happens overnight. I mean, you guys see it all the time. We just filled that gap and we've rallied, 30, 40 points off of there. So there is opportunity in the slow markets in the London session and overnight. And now that you guys all heard that, hours are extended, right? I still haven't taken the time to look into it about the extended trading hours, right? You guys probably know more than I do. But I know they've been everyone's been talking about it for a while now. I think it's just going to be beneficial. I don't know if is it going to bring more volatility into slow markets? I don't, maybe that's debatable. I'm not sure. I mean, futures markets are futures markets. Anyway, it's been like this for a very long time. Let's see. What's everybody's opinion on that, extending the after hours trading to 22 hours a day? I'm curious. I asked that last night, but what's everybody in YouTube? What is your guys' opinion on that? Because I haven't taken the time to look at it, and I'm curious. I know, I mean, it's gonna be tough to sleep for some people. That's for sure. That's for sure. All right. Anyway, let's go through this. Ooh, a lot of people are active in the chat. Let's go through some of the questions. Pretty not a fan. Yeah, I mean, it has its positives and negatives. The positive for me that I could see is traders are going to be able to close out a position. Stop losses, we're going to be able to order and execute in an event of there's some major event that moves the markets. Traders can get out of the position instead of getting caught in it. And then they're waking up the next morning with a big gap and blowing up an account and a margin call. So there is going to be a benefit to that, in my opinion, for the products that are going to be having those extended hours. Maybe like liquidity, of course, people can trade, and there's going to be opportunities. Makes it easier for market manipulation. I mean, the more commissions for brokers and all that fun stuff, swing trades. They need extended options hours. I would love it, David, if they had an extended options hours. Yeah, here's the thing. And with all the things are always going to change, and I think it's very important as us as day traders to not get caught up in all that. Just because we can trade at specific times during the day does not mean we should. It really doesn't. Stick to your plan. If you have certain trading hours that you trade and you like to trade, stick to them. Don't change it. Don't change it just because you now are allowed to trade. If you want to, do it in a practice account, do it in a demo account, but don't change your strategy because of it. Fat shrimp, these are futures, right? And I'm just referring to the products that have been extended, whether it's going to get traders to trade those products a lot more, or, it's going to cause, more people to lose sleep watching those markets, when it might not even make any of a difference into how they should be trading or how they typically trade. Kyle Oliver, are you the only one that trades YM? No, I think Coach Jay trades YM. He joins me on Wednesdays, and he usually runs at the buzzer, and he talks about the YM a lot more than I do. I very rarely look at YM. YM, ES. I look at ES every once in a while, not very often. I mean, the same analysis I do on the NASDAQ is very similar to YM or the ES. But here's the ES, right? This ES is a lot more bullish than the NASDAQ. We're making these consistent higher lows. And so is there going to be a higher low here in the ES? Maybe it's looking a lot more bullish. However, today we did have this run up, and so we're kind of an inside range. So we did make is this going to be a higher low? Did we make a lower high? And these are the conversations we have. It looks like it was for a moment, but yeah, we'll see what happens. We're kind of just contracting, consolidating, probably waiting for earnings, probably waiting for news for this week. You don't know for sure, but that's only my guess. RM trades. Speaking of times, have you found that you are a better trader at certain times of a day opposed to others? I'm a better trader in slow markets. I don't know. It's just the way I love to trade. These trade setups, and I could even talk about this trade because this is an hourly chart. This is the NASDAQ, and this is something I was looking at, is I would like to put like a buy stop here. Buy stop, this is an example, say 560, 526. My stop loss below that, and then a take profit, say here, right? So a lot of setups like this are absolutely my favorite. And then I go to sleep, I let this run. Maybe I have my stop loss a little bit wider, going for a 1-to-1 risk reward. And I let this trade run throughout the evening. I'll turn off my computer, I'll go to bed, and then the NASDAQ, it either breaks up, has that reversal, confirms this trade, and once I'm triggered in, it either hits my take profit or stop loss, or, sometimes it doesn't even trigger me in, and it just kind of consolidates or goes the opposite direction. So this is my favorite style of trading. That's why I decided to have slow markets as a class, and I'm trying my best to help traders explain it. Traders have a day job. Maybe they can't trade during the New York session. This is also an option. It really is. But this is an example of the trades that I have the most success at. Is this trade going to work? I don't know. You never know. Sometimes I could even get in at a better pricing and then have a tighter stop loss, and then before I go to bed I trail my stop loss, and then when I go to bed I have a decent 3-to-1, 4-to-1 risk reward. And I'm used to it. I've practiced it to where I don't lose sleep, and not trading in such a big position size where you might think like, oh my gosh, you're going to be risking you're risking, what is this, 25 points, and, making 96 points. That's huge. It's like, not really, because we have the ability to trade micros. With this, you can trade micros, you can manage risk. 25 points on one micro is, what is that, $50. And so if you're trading micros, you're going to be risking, for this example, say $50 in order to make, say $200. This is an extreme example. It's going to be more realistic like this. So micros is a very effective tool in managing risk, and that's why I love it, especially during slow markets. Now, the New York session and the way I trade the New York session are a lot different. It is a lot different. Trust me. It's two completely different trading styles, different techniques. I talk about a little bit of both here. So yeah, Eric, so why aren't you putting a trade on? Because I don't like this trade yet. I want to see more price action, and I want to see how the market reacts throughout slow markets before I decide to say, okay, I want to get in this trade. So here's the reason. I want to talk this through because that's a good question. So what I want to see is I'd love to see the NASDAQ come down, maybe see 500. Maybe we can consolidate for a little bit longer in this area. And then I would put a buy stop. And so for me, there's not enough, reason to put a buy stop here yet because there's not enough points or pivots or whatever you want to. This resistance is not strong enough. It hasn't proven it out to me. It doesn't mean it won't work, but just looking at the 5-minute chart we do see a lot of support and resistance here. We do see a lot of resistance. We just showed resistance there again, but I really want us to have some type of a pullback, and then maybe either consolidate, maybe pull back in order for me to put my buy stop, because we could very easily come up, hit, trigger us in. You've seen what's happened before, and then sell off. And so I'm looking for things like that. It's very hard and difficult to explain it sometimes because all I'm doing is I just went over a very brief idea on the hourly chart, because this hourly chart does look really good, and you can kind of see this area of support and resistance that I am referring to. And if we do break back up above it, then I can realistically see continuation to the long side. And then where do we manage risk, right? This candlestick has not even closed. We still have 8 more minutes until the close of this, hourly candle. And these are the things that I analyze along with what's going on in the market. We have news tomorrow. Will the news affect the way I trade? Are we going to see volatility? And then I'm also watching these other markets. I actually would prefer along on the Nikkei. So very much, you could easily say that I would prefer this trade opposed to the NASDAQ trade, and maybe looking for some type of a trade setup here on the Nikkei, but nothing that I am liking yet. And yeah, we'll see what happens. What time is it? It is 8 minutes until 8 p.m. Let's take a look at gold. Oh yeah, gold continuing to just go up. I mean, nothing new here. The gap, what's this? The gap is going to be officially closed. Correct me if I'm wrong, everybody. Is that the official close of the gap here in gold? Because we finished off at what? 2760. So, are we going to see that gap fill tonight? Micros or minis? I'm not sure what you mean by that, Tech. Yes, stay tuned, everybody. I'm going to be having a VIP. So I have committed to a private group coaching for a limited amount of traders, and then a group VIP. So a VIP group. So just continue to stay tuned. Like I said, I don't want to be continuing to tease everybody, but yeah, you guys know it's coming. You have not missed it yet. You have not missed it. It's I believe it's going to be a form that the more you fill it out throughout the sessions or the classes, the higher the probabilities you are to win it. So I'm not going to be able to choose and pick who I want, but every single time you check in, if I have that check-in thing ready and you guys check in, it basically puts your name in the drawing, I believe. And then you check in again, put your name in the drawing again. So the more you're active, the higher the probabilities of you joining and being able to join that VIP group. The VIP groups, I believe, are 50. The VIP groups are 50. The private group session is probably going to only be 20. And that's a one-time thing. It's not going to be like a continuous group coaching session. Let's take a look at NASDAQ. I'm going to continue to watch these. Let's get to a few more questions. Watching markets are not moving. We had that nice, we had all the movement right before the stream started. All this movement happened right before the stream. Dakota, how will daylight savings time in Europe affect the slow markets trading this week? For me, it doesn't affect it. The way that I trade, like, to me, it doesn't really matter too much whether it's now, whether it's an hour from now, whether it's an hour before. It's really more about price. But yeah, it does affect what times the markets are open. Say, what time's London opening, what time's London closing. I personally have not worried much about that. It's probably just going to be like Bounce said, it's going to be an hour earlier if you're looking at specific events in the market. For example, typically we see a spike in volatility right at 8 p.m. Central. Is that going to change? Maybe. Is it? Maybe not. And it's for a small period of time. Dakota, how... Okay, let's get to some of these questions before we get too fast. And we could probably watch gold, because gold looks like it was going to just fill the gap. Let's see if gold fills the gap. I feel like we've done this enough here in slow markets for the past month, where gold is just going straight up. Every single night we pull up gold, it's usually going up. So let's answer some questions. We could watch gold and see if there's any other opportunities in the markets. Do I use Bookmap? My answer is no. I do not use Bookmap. But man, there's some amazing traders that do. A few more questions. Seems like the ES has a gap fill too. Wondering if that affects the NASDAQ coach day trading. I don't really look at the way the ES affects the NASDAQ when it comes to filling gaps. Let's look. I mean, ES filled the gap as well, right? Or am I looking at it? No. ES hasn't filled the gap. I don't know. That's interesting. It's interesting. You guys probably have better thesis than I do when it comes to, the NASDAQ filled the gap and the ES still has not filled the gap. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure. That's a interesting thing, and maybe something to watch. I don't trade based off of it, but it is an interesting observation. Dakota, how do I deal with losing confidence during a streak of bad trades while knowing trades won't always go my right way? Interesting. How do you deal with a string of bad trades when you know that trades will not always go your way? So my best advice for you is you just continue to practice your process. And we need to do that as traders, everybody. We really do. We need to continue, and no matter what, and sometimes it's really freaking difficult, that if you take a loss and another loss and you lose confidence, because trust me, you guys see me lose all the time. Unfortunately, I have a lower win percentage. And so you guys get to see me lose a lot more than I win. And then having that confidence to go back and say, hey, guys, the trade's setting up on the NASDAQ short. I'm going to get short. Right after I just lost $1,000 in front of everybody, I shorted the market again. And, that time it worked. And we could even pull up that example here on the NASDAQ. And that was this morning. Let's pull it up. So here was this morning's trade. This is a 5-minute on the NASDAQ. And if here's the sell-off. And we had a little bit of we had a bounce. It wasn't a little bit of a bounce. And I don't know whether it was here or here. But the idea that I was watching and that I was trading was there's a lot of support. There's a lot of support here. We had the gap that everyone's watching. And so I shorted and I took a loss, right? And then you guys, everyone's seen it on screen. And then I don't know if it was one or two times. And then I ended up, the market rejected twice. I shorted again, and that one worked out really well. I ended up the day I ended up that particular trade like plus $1,700. So it was like 2 or 3 losses in a row, and then just net plus 1,700. So whatever the total P&L was for that one trade, I can't remember, but just having that confidence in the process that you're following and having the confidence in your trading strategy, understanding your own personal statistics, right? Because if this is a live account, but in the combined and XFAs, there's the statistics. You could go through your statistics. You could have that confidence. And a lot of that you actually get with experience. And, it's hard to teach it. It's hard to teach experience to new traders because you have to experience those emotions yourself. You can't learn it watching YouTube videos. You can't learn it in a book. It's something you have to just deal with and experience. And there's no other way. There isn't. Oh, here's a good one. Brown, will the news, like elections, affect night trading in general? Yes. Yep. Anything that will affect the markets can affect night trading in general. Yes. How many contracts was that? I've been trading 5 contracts. 5 contracts. Let's see. I'm sure I could pull up can we pull up my orders? Okay. Okay, we're gonna pull up. Can we do this? No, not in order. We're gonna pull up orders. We're gonna pull up trades. You guys get to see this live. Okay, let's go through these orders. You guys could see my live fills. Let's pull through this morning. Today's October 28th. So here's this morning's. So here's October 28th. So you can see I sold. Look, sold 587. This was this morning at this time is an hour after the market opened, it looks like. So this is Mountain Standard Time. This is almost an hour after the market opened. I sold 5. And you can see bought 1 at 577, and then I got stopped out. So I had 1 in profit. So I'm going to go through these one by one, and I walk through it because I had 1. I was in the profit by 10 points. Look at this. In the profit by 10 points. Got stopped out. Or no, that one was canceled. That one was there. So I got stopped out minus 10 points right there. So got stopped out for the rest of the 4, minus 10 points, 596. And I was short from 577. So that was actually 20 points. So that was a big loss. That's 2,000, right? No, because it's only 1 contract. I closed 1 contract. Whatever the math was out on that one. Let's go through here. I sold 1, sold another, added to it, I believe. And let's see. I'm just going through this to see if I remember. And I got stopped out again. I think this was me being stopped out. Going through this. Let me go. No, this is a different time. This is 8, 9, 10. I'll have to go through and re-watch this. I'm not 100% sure now. Oh, here we go. Here, this is it. Yeah, this was the market. My second trade. There. That's way different. Yeah, so my first trade didn't go as planned. You could see that. And then I shorted again. See how I got stopped out? Look, I got stopped out on my last 2 contracts at 608. Then I got back in at 602. So I sold it at 602. And I'll go through this trade if you guys want. But yeah, I got back in short. 5 contracts, 602. Then I filled 1 at 585. Filled another one at 580. And then I filled another one at 581, filled another one at, 575, 575. So that was the trade, selling 5 contracts at, what was that, 602, and then, covering them at 575. And if we pull it up on the 1 minute, you guys could probably see it. Now, forgive, like, let's see. We're going to find this out together. All right. We're doing this. Bear with me. Okay, so, yeah, here's this other trade. Yeah, anyway. This is the one I'm talking about. This is the one we were talking about. So, here this is. This was from this morning where I shorted here at, 587 and then closed one for take profit, 77, got stopped out. But then I ended up, shorting again, getting stopped out again, and then shorting for a third time. You probably can't see that, but yeah, shorted, stopped out, shorted again for a third time. And then that one worked out really well where I closed it out, all 5 contracts, my last contract right at the bottom at, I think like 75 or wherever. But yeah, going through the emotional roller coaster of trading, like buy here, sell there, or, I followed my process. My process was good. That was an 8+ setup and I lost. Okay. I followed again and I lost, and then I lost again. And, having the confidence to say, okay, I'm ready to, this is another setup. Let's go ahead and do it and follow that same exact process again. And as I've been speaking, gold filled the gap. Gold filled that gap. Wow. What's next? All-time highs? I mean, we still have we have a ways to go for all-time highs. All-time highs, 72. 72. I mean, why not? Why not? This is one heck of a market. You don't want to be short this. Who's short? Who's short gold? Who's long? Does anybody have a position in gold in the chat? Is silver taking off as well? Yeah, silver's a better trade. Silver is a lot better trade. Long, looks like a lot of traders are long. Okay, long silver instead of, I like silver a little bit better right here. And here's why. It's just a lot cleaner. And this is purely from just this technical standpoint. Like, look, it's a lot cleaner. And I think silver has a lot more room to run. And maybe we could come up and see these, 34.13, 34.12 come into play on silver. Comparing this to gold, though, I mean, how can you argue with this, actually? I mean, who's to say one's better than the other? I mean, that's just great. Short of the NASDAQ, took along on the break. NASDAQ waiting at y'all going to get faked out. I mean, what are we going to get faked out on for? You're learning how to trade gold. That's a good rejection. That is a good rejection. And we got that spike in volatility right at 8 p.m. Central. So 8 p.m. Central came in right here, right at 8 p.m. We seen that spike in volatility. So 8 p.m. Central, spike in volatility. It's still playing for gold. That would have been a great trade. Just a nice little bounce. As much as I want to just say there's going to be a pullback or short, I just, yeah, this is just, again, why short this? This is a scary market to short. Very scary. Yeah, that was the pullback. Armando, yeah, we could take. We'll jump it back and forth these markets. If I see something I'm really liking, I'm gonna jump in on it, and Nikkei might be that one. Nikkei might be that one. Oh man, I hate having the chart executions on here because it's such a distraction. Okay, we got that. I got what I wanted. Let's see if I can get in here. there we go. Now let's take a watch. Gold. See if we could watch gold break out. What a move. What a move. Coach, you think crude oil will be affected with 4S oil equities earnings on Friday? I don't know. I possibly. I feel like crude has been more affected on the headlines than anything lately. Gold's kind of, yeah, it's just not really too much happening after that move. Golden pocket. What was why to short there? I didn't short anywhere. I did get into my long on the NASDAQ. I got into this long on the NASDAQ. Yeah. So you remember where I was saying I wanted a pullback, and I got that pullback, and so now my trade setup is based off of an hourly chart to see if we can either, get a push tonight, or if this is going to run down and stop me out. The one thing I am debating is, do I have my stop here? This is always the question, right? Do we have a stop here? Do we have a stop here? Do I close out, a little bit earlier? That is always the question that I struggle with. I'm going to watch this on a 5-minute. I might even add to this. If we do break above, like, say, 526. But before I finish tonight, I'm either going to have my stop, it's going to be, for right now, that's where it's going to be at. We'll see. Risking 740. I might even close this and switch it up to like 5 micros. I might close this one and switch it to 5 micros. For gold, yeah, gold's just, it filled that gap. I'm not seeing anything else. Nikkei's the market that's looking really well if we break above these 38.86s. 38.86. But you guys could watch my NASDAQ. You could watch the NASDAQ trade while we get to a few more questions. Have you ever considered using VWAP? Evan, I've watched it. I haven't really taken into consideration on my own personal trading. I take a short and put a buy at your stop. You could do that. That's sometimes the better trade. A lot of, more times than I like to admit is usually where stop losses are great locations to buy, right? So you can imagine all the traders who were long here and that maybe had a stop loss at the low of Monday, right? We ran some stops and then ran up. So, stop loss is here. Beautiful opportunity to buy it. And then, maybe this is the same thing where if this does run down, stops me out, and then turns around and runs, then that would have been a great trade. I do like this, though. And it's just, I personally am having a hard time whether it's this, having my stop loss at 458, or having my stop loss at 69. And I'm pretty indecisive about my stop loss, to be honest, because we did fill that gap. I think that one's fine. I think that's fine for me right now. I'll watch it, and if something happens, I might decide to move it here, depending on this price action. I might even just close this trade and re-enter. Yeah, I might close this trade and re-enter it if we don't see anything too crazy. How do you not go crazy thinking about your position overnight? I'm used to this, everybody. I really am used to this. Just because like I've traded for long enough. I understand the statistics, and like, what's going to happen? This market sells off and I lose $700. Okay. I'm going to wake up and this is going to be a $730 loser. Or, actually, I'm just going to go ahead and close out of this one now. So I just lost $353. If it sets up again, I will enter this trade. And that's the reality. That's the reason why we want to have a stop loss. And I mean, a take profit, sure. I mean, are you going to lose some sleep if you don't have a take profit? No. I would definitely lose some sleep if I do not have a stop loss. You definitely want to have a stop loss. Like, regardless, even if you don't think you're going to use your stop loss, have one on there. Even if it's just like an emergency stop loss just to be safe, it's okay. It's okay to have one on there just to be safe. Always have a stop loss. Sometimes I catch myself, being slow to put a stop loss on there when I click, say, and you guys seen that one. So like if I click join bid, and then I just take and I drag it down. And so there is a brief moment where if the market just moves, then it's rough. Let's see. Yeah, I do. Let's not 100% confident, because that was the trade. I wanted us to hold the 500s, and the fact that we gave up those 500s so fast did not look good. What's Nikkei doing? Let's take a look at NASDAQ. Yeah, I'm happy I closed that one out early, actually. Let's go through the one. Yeah, I could see where it was trying to hold. And then we just gave up those 500s. Trade hacks. Yes, I do agree with that one. If you do have feature requests, I mean, this is the way to go through and vote it. I went through. This is the way to do it. I do know bracket orders. Look at this. Bracket orders. That's number one. I have to log in. You have to log in and go through and do it. But Topstep continues to grow. Topstep X continues to improve, and I've really been enjoying it. Do you use moving averages? I do not. What you see is what you get. This is how I trade during the New York session and slow markets. I mean, AP, what's my style and strategy? It depends on the market, and it depends on the time of day. It really does. Evan, question. How did I get to $253,000 in my live account? So this has been since August. This is the profit I've made in both my live account and, express funded accounts since August. AP, yeah, but what is it? It's very basic, simple technical analysis. I do it every single night here in slow markets. I talk about it during, when I'm on fast markets. I mean, you've just seen it, right? And if you've seen some of tonight, it's exactly that. Looking for basic technical analysis without going in depth, right? So it's very hard without sitting here for like 2 hours. I'm looking for this and this and this. You could just go through technical analysis, 3-bar reversal, support and resistance, everything. I mean, everything is recorded on YouTube, so that's nice. Yeah, look at Nikkei. Look at Nikkei breaking. I bought the wrong market. That's what happened. Man, I really am considering getting back into this. Yeah, Nikkei's looking just so strong. Nikkei's just... If I wake up and Nikkei's up here around above 39,000... I mean, from that one move, let's take a look. I'm going to look at Nikkei more. Just this move has been 0.8%. So that, oh, as I'm talking, there it goes. Yeah, I'm going to join back into the NASDAQ. And we can watch that Nikkei trade go without me. There we go. Man, Nikkei, what a move on this. Does the gap in ES make you nervous? I talked about it a little bit, and my answer was no. And I don't know, what's everybody's in here? If you guys trade ES, does this gap in ES change the way you trade the NASDAQ? Does that have any effect on anybody in here and the way that they trade the NASDAQ? To me, it doesn't. ES is actually holding the top of this gap, but I could see it. I could understand it as well. Because the NASDAQ is catching a bid. See, sometimes it's just, yeah, obviously you wish you didn't close it out early, but sometimes it's just better to close it out and then get back in. What books do I recommend? The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. Absolutely love that book. No, but be aware of it. Yeah, I do agree. I do agree it's nice to be aware of things like this. Like, hey, everybody, there's still a big gap here in ES that hasn't been filled. It's actually holding as support, right? Like this is where we opened up. This is, you know, this is a nice support zone. And right now it's holding as support. But very well, if we do sell off, this thing can have momentum to the downside. And therefore, it would be nice, you know, it's like, okay, well, you know, in theory, can we say the same things? Like, okay, if we're comparing ES to the NASDAQ, we could say, you know, this is support for the NASDAQ. And if this fails, then, you know, we could also see a bigger move, you know, down on the NASDAQ as well. But, yeah, so I get that. I understand it. I don't personally trade that type of correlation, but it makes sense. That would make sense. And so let's see. My first take profit. So I'm either considering this as a take profit for tonight, and even something like this. So one of those two. My preference is probably going to be something like this. It's only one contract. 2-to-1 risk reward. We'll see. Let's see. We'll watch and see how the NASDAQ reacts. If we can break above these 26s, if we could break above into these 20s, then I think I'm okay with this take profit. But if we're struggling, we continue to just consolidate and go slower, then maybe I keep it at these 560 level. Anyway, reason why you prefer ES over the NASDAQ. I prefer the NASDAQ over ES. The NASDAQ is more volatile, and I'm used to the NASDAQ. I am much used to the NASDAQ. And I'm a bull. I do love to buy the markets. And it's easier for me to buy markets than to sell them. And whatever reason that is, I'm a buyer more than I'm a seller, I guess. The Nikkei's making you rich. Let's see. What's the Nikkei doing? Oh my. How about that? I bought the wrong market. Well, shoot. Yeah, that was $1,000 move in one contract on the Nikkei. What a move. See, there's my strategy, who is ever asking. It's very simple and basic technical analysis. Wow. that was it. That is a move. I mean, NASDAQ is not as strong, but we are finding, I mean, is this considered buyers in the NASDAQ? I mean, it's moving a little bit, so can't argue with that. But yeah, that Nikkei, the Nikkei is something else. Like, that was just purely over the last little bit. That's a 0.5% from low to high. Let's see, that's now blowing through 1%, 1.15. So that was a beautiful move. Let's see. Let's take a look at what gold is doing. Gold had a nice pullback, and we're starting to find, I mean, it's still trending up, right? Higher lows, lower highs, moving up into the right. In Q, not doing much. Nikkei was the market for tonight. That's okay. There's always going to be more. Here's the next thing that I'm thinking of. Okay, so now that we had a breakout, this is always something to consider from a pure technical standpoint. Something to consider. There's a lot of resistance here. We just broke through. We broke out to the long side. There may be an opportunity that if we do pull back, then I might find an opportunity or a reason to get long, and then see if we could get that continuation. I do also like to buy pullbacks. This was acting as major resistance. And so if we might not even pull back to this, but there's nothing we could do about that, right? It's already moved. It's already passed. The only thing we could do is either just watch this run or just wait. Wait, do we get a pullback? If we get a pullback, it might give me an opportunity to get into the market. If not, then, that was a great trade that I just happened to miss, which is fine, which is frustrating sometimes, but it is fine. Man, what a trade. What a trade. And then here I am sitting with one contract on the NASDAQ. Yeah, obvious pullbacks are the best. It's simple. It's obvious. You don't have to overcomplicate it, everybody. You really do not have to complicate your trading. The more, what do we want to call it? The simpler you can make your trading, the better it is for you in the long run. It really is. Just keep it super simple. That is the best way to keep your trading. Grateful, not greedy. How do you deal mentally with missing big trades? Just like that. You guys just seen I missed that big trade on the Nikkei, which sucks, right? Because that could be a easy, $1,000 or $2,000 move. But the nice thing is, when you miss out on a trade and you didn't take it and it went your direction, you could confirm, like, hey, I was correct. My analysis was accurate. Like, everything about this trade was perfect outside of I just didn't take it, or it just didn't set up and trigger me in, or whatever that reason is. This is a solid trade. There's nothing you could do about markets like this. You're going to have tons and tons of opportunities to find trades. There's going to be tons of trades like this. Not very often. You're not going to have like 3 of these in a day. This is like, a couple a week. You might find 2 or 3 of these trades a week. This is just a really good one that maybe this is a once a week trade, but that's all it is. It's like what do you call it? Spilt milk. You move on. I'm frustrated. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, here we are. Let's see if the NASDAQ can rally up for me, make me feel a little bit better. This is a 1 minute. Let's continue this on the 5 minute. Let's see if we could break up to the long side. Go through there. Rashi, I bought that Nikkei long, not realizing it wasn't a mini. Just closed 850. Nice. Who caught that Nikkei long? Who caught that Nikkei long? Yeah, the Nikkei was the trade of the night. Look at that. Oh my, we already hit 39,000. And then someone's saying it jumps around, and that's because there's not a lot of liquidity, right? You can see the bid and ask. The fill price is, it only it doesn't get filled as often, right? So you can see the bid and ask move around. You might see the bid and ask move up here, and then it gets filled. And so there's not a lot of liquidity. So there's always caution. You always need to understand it can be difficult trading a market with not a lot of liquidity. You can see the bid and the ask. There's just single digits. So be aware of that. Have that caution. And that's why the charts are not so pretty. It's a very ugly chart because of this. So be aware of that. Understand it. Know how it works. But yeah, that is why. But yeah, there we go. You guys, a lot of you guys up 450 on the Nikkei. You guys you killed it. You did amazing. Better than I did. I got whipsawed. I got faked out here. I got faked out. What was my fake out price? Come on, let's see. Let's see. I got $4.99. No, I bought that one. Yeah, I lost 8 points. I lost 8 points out of that. So 8 points. Bring us micro Nikkeis. I vote for it. Like I said, go into support. Come in here. I'm sure they're in here somewhere, but micro Nikkeis definitely one I put my check mark on. That's for sure. Thoughts on shorting the previous support around 39? I'm not going to look at Nikkei in terms of analysis because it broke out, and for me, it's not going to be shorting. It's just going to be waiting for it to pull back. Nikkei, you guys, like if you watch it, it can run, and it runs. Like look at this move. Like it could be vicious. I don't like to counter trend trade the Nikkei. It's just waiting, being patient. I would recommend not even trading the Nikkei. It's a great market to watch, but I'm not going to recommend trading it. Okay, got a new question. I often notice that the candle is printing downward. However, it is green. I'm not sure what you mean by that. I'm not sure what you mean by that. I'm sorry, Michael. Maybe if you could explain it a little bit better, I can answer that. Let's go through. Do you think a heat map is helpful in slow markets? I don't know, Nick. It's not helpful for me. I've never found great use of a heat map or something like that for slow markets. Like I said, slow markets for me, everybody. Slow markets for me is done on a higher time frame. It's done on, say, this hourly chart, and this trade is based off of an hourly setup. And I explained this a little bit at the beginning of class. And this is the type of trade that I like. What you see, this is done on a higher time frame. This is the trade where I'm going to turn my computer off. I'm going to go to bed, and I'm going to let this run. It's not a quick scalp. It's not an in and out. Every once in a while, I could find a quick scalp. For example, like gold or Nikkei or another one where it's a shorter term trade. But the majority of my slow markets trade that I absolutely love is this. It's done on an hourly time frame. The setup, I do my analysis on the hourly, and then I say, okay, this is a great trade. This is an opportunity. I'm going to look for this market to rotate back into these mid 500s. Maybe have a chance to run up to 600, and this gives me a great risk reward. Right now, it's set up for a 3-to-1 risk reward. I can see it, pushing up for a little bit higher. Maybe even I could pull a 4-to-1 risk reward out of this. And this is the setup. The next thing I like to do is drop down to a smaller time frame, like a 5-minute chart, and then I could see the structure a lot better. And I could say, okay, this structure is looking a lot better. Maybe we broke out, and you guys seen exactly what I said. I said, why would I not put a buy stop here yet? I'm like, well, I want to see us sell off a little bit, find support, and I think I even said here, and then look for us to continue up. And so this is the analysis I did on the 5-minute, but it's based off of what I was seeing on the 1-hour chart. So this 1-hour time frame is what I look at first, and then I zoom in and I do the execution and more the detailed, granular view on a smaller time frame, and then I set it up. And so this is very realistically a trade where I could come in and I could put a buy stop, and I'll even add to this position to where if the market does start to break through, it'll trigger me into another contract, and then I'll be in 2 contracts. And so little things like this, it's very difficult to explain because there's a lot of ways and styles to trade the same setup. But yeah, the over idea is that I look at the hourly chart, then I zoom in and I hold these trades overnight. I let them run out. Maybe it happened in a minute and I just got stopped out. Great. That trade lasted 5 minutes. This trade might last all night. I might wake up tomorrow morning and I'm still in a long and the market's somewhere in between, my stop loss, and it's somewhere in between here. I might wake up and I lost $600 on this trade, or I wake up and I'm up $1,700. But this is my trading style. I absolutely love, and what I learned how to trade. Do I trail this? No. I don't trail this because I'm sleeping, and so I don't have an automated trailing stop, so it does not trail automatically. Sometimes though, if this market does move before I go to bed and I check it, sometimes I will say, okay, I'm going to move my stop loss to here because there's the pivot. And only if this market moves. Sometimes the market does move and allows me to manage my risk before I go to bed. So, man, I got to get used to these long classes. My jaw is actually starting to hurt, so I might end class just a little bit early tonight, everybody. We'll continue to watch this, and I'll answer a few more questions. But yeah, I think I'm going to end class a little bit early. Slow markets, it's scheduled from 7:30 p.m. until 9. So we still have technically 23 minutes until class is over. But I have to get used to talking for so long. My jaw's not used to it. I'm too passionate, I guess. I could use sign language. Yeah, I don't know much, but the sign language I do know would probably get me kicked off YouTube. Go watch the Yankees-Dodgers. All right, let's get to a couple more questions. We could continue to watch this. We could continue to watch a few more markets, and we could watch Nikkei push higher without me. Yeah. Oh, anything. You guys seen I'm active on Twitter, everybody. I'm going to be talking about Twitter or X or quite often. I'm going to be pushing my own thing, or I've learned how to copy paste this. And yeah, take a look at that. If you have questions, I'm going to try and do this. I really am. I don't know if I could show this or not, but look at this one. Here's one from earlier. I posted this. You guys could see it. This was a trade. Like when I'm not on TopstepTV, I do trade because I'm a trader. I'm a full-time trader. When I'm not on TopstepTV or coaching, I do trade. And so this was a trade setup I posted. So this was a fun one. This was this afternoon. I was in 3 contracts in my live. Worked out really well. I ended up finishing the day plus 5,000. So yeah, I'm going to try and continue to be more active on social media. I'm going to try and be more active in the Discord because I've now dedicated the time for the VIP coaching I'm excited for. And so in part of that, it's going to be, doing that. And I'm excited. I've enjoyed it, which is kind of weird to think that I've actually enjoyed this. I just ignore some of the traders that are just, some of the people on social media that are just negative. Just ignore them, move on to the next, and go from there. And that's what I love. That's one thing that I love about Topstep. Like Coach Jay's on there, and it's the same thing. Just ignore the drama and all the negativity, and we'll focus on helping traders or finding ways to improve, right? And then everything else, right? Coach Jay's doing At the Buzzer. Nick Furtick, he's going to be having a baby, which is absolutely amazing. And he does those Sunday ones, and we're always having guests. We're always having fun stuff. And it's Halloween this week. It's Halloween. What day is Halloween? It's, oh my calendar. What day of the week? I know what day Halloween is, but what day of the week? It's Thursday. Okay. So I'm sure, Topstep's going to be doing some fun stuff on Thursday. I won't be there for Thursday, but I will be Friday. There's going to be a special. I'm sure there's going to be some spooky stuff happening. Thursday, man, time goes by fast. Any last questions before I end it? Any last questions? Stay tuned for the VIP. Remember, like I said, VIP is going to be coming. You can fill it out. The more you are active, the higher your chances are. Because here's the thing, and I agree with this 100%, is the more you are active in the community, in like Discord, in YouTube, and being an active trader, the better your chances are at, number one, I honestly do believe being successful is part of being part of like a community. I really do believe that. It's very difficult to do it by yourself. But then I talk to the other coaches. I do talk to those other coaches, and they tell me all the time. They say the traders that are active and like are here and willing to learn is to show up. They're the ones that are showing up. They're the ones that are active. So I 100% agree with the way that, like, hey, you have to be here and you have to sign up for the form. And the more you sign up, the better your odds are to eliminate the traders who just show up, they sign up, and they're never active. They're never like being active in the community. They're not putting up and they're not putting forth the effort, because Topstep really is looking for traders to grow and make money and get them into a live account and build them up. Like, that is the goal. I've seen it here. I've done it myself. You guys are seeing it, right? And I absolutely love that. So there's a reason for everything. And, I got my Series 3. I got my Series 30. Everyone else is working on it. And it's just the more that myself included can continue to provide the value and to help traders get from point A to point B, which the ultimate goal is a live account, and being able to do this all on yourself, regardless of whether you're at Topstep or not. Like, if you can do this in a live account in a real environment, you want to go do this on your own, right? Like, that's the ultimate goal is, you don't want to depend on, some prop firm and dealing with simulated accounts. You want to be able to do this on your own, do this in the live, real money, and so that way you don't have to depend on anybody else. So that is what I love about that, and I think that is where I'm going to be ending this stream. So it's a little bit early. I will be on bright and early tomorrow morning, so I'm going to try and get some good rest for tomorrow morning. I'm going to be on with my trading buddy Rips and Fast Markets. It's going to be a fun one. Until then, I will catch you either tomorrow morning or tomorrow night. And take care. Enjoy it. I love it. I love class. I love everybody. Take care.